Okay, here we go again. So I got busy cleaning up all the road grime and grease and garbage that was behind here. Just used some Varsol, some low odor Varsol, and did as much as I can right now. But got everything cleared off, and I'm ready to take the nut off and get the sprocket off of the main shaft here coming out of the gearbox. So, funny thing about this socket, or sorry, this sprocket, is the way the nut is on this. There's an indentation that goes in here, so the nut is quite far into the sprocket, and then with the links on the edge here, there really isn't any room to get a wrench on this, an open end wrench on this. And if you tried to get a box end wrench, you'd have a heck of a challenge. You really wouldn't be able to get a lot of the wrench over the flats on the nut because you're blocked by this goofy indentation. I don't know why they didn't make it flat, just have a flat sprocket and put this on, but they didn't. So I was looking at this and trying to figure this out. And what I did was I have a bunch of these little flat metal steel wrenches that picked up at the local Restore, which is a local shop that basically just resells used building supplies and tools and things like that. It's a really great place. So this thing probably cost me $1, so I picked this up for $1. And then I just grabbed my verniers and measured the nut, and the nut comes out to be 38 millimeters. So just opened up this was 33 millimeters, so I just opened it up to 38 millimeters, and it works out good. I can at least get some purchase on the edge here, but even then you can see that the chain interferes with it. And if I try to come at it from over here, it's a little bit better over here, but even then you don't get a lot. But at least it's something, and I've got it on 2 of the nut faces. I always like having a nut that I'm going to loosen or tighten. I like to be on all 6 faces where I can act on them, but I can't in this case, so 2 is going to have to do. And I don't think this is supposed to be very tight anyway, and sure enough, I just started to loosen off the tab here, the folding tab. There's the other one here that can fold over that wasn't used. This one was used, and I just started to loosen this off, and look at this. The nut's actually finger tight. So it doesn't look like this needed to get a lot of torque anyway. Again, I'm going to check the torque specs when I go to put this back together to see if there's any real torque that's supposed to be on this. I don't think there is. I think it just needs to be on there and just kind of snugged up a little bit, enough to be able to get the flats of one of these locking tabs over the face of the nut, and then you're good to go. So I'm just going to continue on. With getting this off. I'm not going to undo that completely, because I'm trying to think ahead a little bit, but I guess I'm going to have to. Yeah, I'm going to have to, because the nut won't turn past that even when it's like that. Oh no, there it will. There we go, I got it. Now, if that was tight and I needed to loosen it, you can see I've got the chain on. I didn't take the chain off at all, and I actually don't intend to anyway. I intend to just slide this off. There's enough slack in the chain. I'll be able to slide this off. And I'm going to be putting on a new sprocket. This is a 17 tooth sprocket, and I'm going to go up one tooth up to an 18 sprocket, and hopefully try to lower the RPMs a little bit at the higher speeds. Don't drive fast a lot, but every once in a while I do jump on the highway, and the speed limit's 90 or 100. And boy, the engine's really working at 100 kilometers an hour. So if I can drop the revs a little bit on this 500cc engine, then so much the better. It'll just be nicer. But anyway, I left the chain on, if that had been tight, my plan was to just put the rear brake on. I was just going to put some weight on the pedal there to pull it down and hold the wheel steady, and that should have given me what I needed to get this off. But even this, like, it turns pretty easy. You can see it doesn't take much to turn the rear wheel. Here we go. So I think there's supposed to be a felt washer behind this guy here. Yeah. So let's see what it. There we go. Now am I going to have to take that tape off? No. No. Oh yeah. So there is. It's kind of hard to see. It's in there a bit. But yeah, there's a felt washer in there. So not gonna damage that. I'm not gonna mess with that. That'll just go back on the way it is. And then I'll get just set that aside for now. Now next is get this lock tap out of the way here. Play with that a little bit. There we go. There we go. So that's that. And over there. Now, you can see the main shaft just moves freely inside there. So now, this thing is supposed to, or at least I've seen some videos online where there's two holes and there's a screw that goes through that holds it on, but there's definitely no screw, there's no holes there. So I'm kind of thinking this thing just slides right off. I'm just going to clean that face up a little bit and then just pull it and see if that does indeed slide off. That's interesting to me because if there's nothing else, not coming off so easy. Maybe I just need to give it a little tap. There we go, that's all I need. There we go. So, apparently on some models, and maybe it's the older Albion boxes or a different one, there's two threaded holes there, and it threads in to something behind, but not on this guy. This guy just comes right out. So the only thing holding that sprocket on is that nut, and the only thing keeping the nut from backing off was the lock tab. So let's have a look here. See what we got. Now, you know what? I'm going to need a little more slack to get that off of there. So I am going to have to loosen up the rear axle then. Or am I going to be able to lift that off and get it over? No, not really. And I don't really need to piss around with it. I can just loosen the rear axle and get it off. And be done with it. So anyway, that's that. Let's get that from behind. Yeah, there's a lot of road grime, a lot of junk back there. I'll clean that up good because when I start to take the transmission apart from the other side there, I just don't want to carry a whole bunch more than I need to into there. I want to get it all nice and clean. Plus it's got to be clean for when it gets to be reassembled. So let's give this a try here. No, I just need a bit more slack on that chain to get that sprocket off. So that's okay. So I'll turn you guys off and I'll get you back on after I get that off. You don't need to see me loosen the rear wheel and get this sprocket off. But And actually the teeth look pretty good. Like there's a bit of wear, but it's not bad. So like I said, this bike has about somewhere between 10 and 12,000. The odometer says 12,000. It's always red high, so I'm guessing around 10, maybe 11,000 kilometers. So even though it's an older bike, 25 years old, I haven't used it that much. So anyway, let's give this a try here. I'll get this loosened off and get back.